A tragic real-life story of Bruce Willis. I love his acting. It's so good. All right, let's watch it.
For years, fans thought they were witnessing Bruce Willis fall off. His performances felt unimpressive. The light behind his eyes seemed to dim, and his behavior was so uncharacteristic that nearly 24 different people voiced their concerns about the actor. They noticed he barely spoke in his films, had his lines fed to him through an earpiece, and
sometimes you don't know the sickness is like not literally physical. It can be mental too.
Recalled stories of him literally not knowing why he was on set. With this mysterious behavior, some fans even suggested he was being exploited, and honestly the evidence was pretty convincing. What no one knew at the time is that we were not witnessing a career decline. We were witnessing the early stages of something far more tragic than anyone could have imagined. This is the story of Bruce Willis, an actor who looked like he was going to make one of the greatest comebacks of his career, only to be forced to accept a fate that you would not wish on your worst enemy.
And being an actor because you're pretending all the time, and then like, I can't imagine. That's actually just like 100% worse than just being in a home, right? Like realistically, you're thinking that you're the character and then you just suddenly forget. And your brain like tries to make sense of it, because you have to switch personalities and like switch characters in your head.
Willis is one of the rare examples of a self-made Hollywood leading man. He had no industry connections, no multimillionaire parents, just hard work, determination, and a passion for cinema. For about a decade, he grinded through Hollywood as an extra or minor character in dramas like The Verdict, Miami Vice, and even dabbled in making music, releasing this song and music video in 1986 called Respect Yourself. But none of those appearances caught the attention of big-time producers. It was only when Bruce acted in the TV show Moonlighting that people started to see his potential. He played David Addison, a sarcastic detective for a private agency alongside Sybil Shepherd, an ex-model and love interest. The show wasn't an overwhelming mainstream success, but it was popular. And because of this show, America discovered that Bruce Willis was funny, charming, and charismatic on and off the set.
What was the relationship like?
It wasn't love at first sight.
Second sight. It was love at second sight. See, actually, I had two black eyes at those times.
Yo, he's got some riz.
That time also, I couldn't really see very well, so I was playing most of my scenes to the camera operator, thinking that it was her because my eyes were closed. That's not true. That's a joke. Not even a good joke.
No, I thought he was real cute the first time I saw him.
Real cute.
Real cute.
Real cute.
Ooh.
Real. I went up to Glenn Caron and bent down and whispered in his ear, "He's cute."
Bruce.
Oh my god. If a lady like that said that to me, oh boy. I'd be like chocolate in the hot sun. God damn.
Went on to win the People's Choice Award for Favorite Male in a New TV Program. And you can hear how much the people loved Bruce.
He's a really good actor. I loved him in Pulp Fiction.
In the words of the immortal Wyatt.
Girls! I'm trying to do work type shift.
But everything changed for Willis when he was hired to play a New York City cop named John McClane in the 1988 action film Die Hard. In the movie, John goes to visit his estranged wife, Holly, who has moved on after he refuses to follow her and celebrate
she's so hot.
Her successful career. However, a genius thief named Hans Gruber, played by Alan Rickman, takes over Holly's place of work.
Another great man. Another fantastic actor, dude. Crazy. This guy, again, one of the greats too. Like, he had range.
In order to steal a fortune, even if he has to kill people along the way.
For those that don't know, Alan Rickman is most famous for, one of his most famous roles is playing Snape in Harry Potter.
It puts John in a position where he is forced to use his law enforcement skills to save his wife and her co-workers from immediate
Dude, that's so cool.
danger, allowing both of them to realize what's truly important in each other's lives. And even though Bruce now had the reputation for being a total badass action star, he humbly admitted to his fears of doing such intense scenes for this film.
And actually, had I had them show me the stunt before I did it, I probably wouldn't have done it. I would have been too scared, but I did this stunt, and when I saw it on film, it's just spectacular.
Amazing. Amazing.
Would you do something like that again?
No.
Hell no.
I wouldn't do that one again.
Yeah.
I think they made it, very safe for me, but, fear's in your mind.
Rewatching
Yeah,
Die
that's
Hard
true.
makes you wonder how a lot of
He's so
modern action movies got so
well-spoken, too,
bland.
off
It's
camera.
one of those movies that does more in 2 hours than others managed to do in 3. And simply
True.
put, the movie is just fun. Willis had the kind of talent where he could tell you
This my smugglers after their work shift they clock in to watch the stream. Corner Lana? Oh, my bad. Jesus, man, sorry. I'm so immersed in the video, chat.
what he was thinking with extremely minor
I'm too busy
gestures,
looking
like a
at
small
Bruce Willis.
smirk
He's so
or the way
cool.
he chose to stand in any given scene. He never needed to overact to get his point across to the audience, and the response to such a performance was insanely profitable. With a large budget of $28 million, Die Hard still made about $140 million at the worldwide box office, suddenly making Bruce Willis a household name in Hollywood. This was also a huge year for Bruce on a personal level as well. He and his first wife, Demi Moore, just had their first child, Rumor, something he was excited about, but anxious about being the father every child deserves.
Have you thought much about how it's going to change you?
I thought about it, but I keep thinking that nothing can prepare you for that, that it's just, no matter how wild, you think it is, that it's going to be,
sweet.
it's going to be 10 times that.
Yeah.
Humbling.
Any fears about not being up to it?
Yeah. I really think that, no matter how well I can, get ready for it, we're going to make mistakes, It's, parents make mistakes, I think. I don't think anybody can really do it perfectly.
Nobody's perfect.
But even when Bruce started to explode in fame, what fans loved about him is that he always kept a cool head under pressure. He never let the industry get to him like other actors. When he was interviewed, he was willing to be vulnerable about that inner battle when you become so famous so fast.
Being the kind of tough guy that I am.
Well, he wasn't born into it either, because like not all, but most of the people that are in Hollywood, I would say like a lot of them are just Nepo babies. They're kind of like used to it. Yeah.
Or like to think that I am. I never want to, you never want to let anybody know you're afraid, you never want to tell anyone that you're afraid of what is happening in your life.
Bruce credited his family for keeping him so grounded. While sitting next to two legends in the world of Hollywood action movies, he basically said he'd rather be at home with his kids.
Young children. Both
Yes.
young children.
With Arnie? Honestly, if I was Arnie, I'd be like, damn, that's mad respect. And Sylvester Stallone, yeah, dude. They were like the action dudes, I think. Like when I think of old school action, like before I was even born, like they were doing it like a guy in the fucking 80s and shit, right? And the early 80s too. And it's like, I don't know, I just think of them immediately.
Changed your life.
The big greats.
Stay home more, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it did
My children
change.
are a lot more interesting to me than just about anybody else that I know
True!
on the planet. So it's just a lot more fun.
That's
to hang
a lot
around
for a
with.
host here. That was kind of.
I was gonna say, except
almost
the Terry
everybody.
Wogan show. I mean, I got excited today when I was told we're gonna come down here.
With all of this momentum, Bruce was now playing a much bigger game. Die Hard 2 was the highly anticipated sequel, generating $100 million more than the first film at the worldwide box office, leveling up his fame to superstar status. But Bruce also found ways to show the world that he could bring serious depth to his performances as an artist. That, or he embraced silly and unserious roles for the fun of it. He acted as a veteran fighting PTSD with In Country, voice acted as a baby in the comedy.
That's what I was saying. Like, he's got range. Like, not a lot of people are like willing to branch out from their like safe, comfy kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. Like comfy. It's like playing a game. Like, say you're like a puzzle streamer, like you're an MMO streamer, and then you suddenly want to do like shooting streams, as in like, shooter, like playing Arc Raiders or like CSGO or something. Like, he really wanted to try and give it a hand in anything, and it still worked. Like, he still had like pretty good success with most things.
Look Who's Talking, and played writer Peter Fallow in Bonfire of the Vanities with Tom Hanks, all while participating in the third edition of Die Hard with a Vengeance that secured $366 million at the worldwide box office. The 1990s were a golden era for Bruce Willis films. He wasn't seen as a one-trick pony who got lucky with an action trilogy. He was an established leading man making strides in other genres like science fiction, drama, and comedy, fully comfortable with exploring new roles, but also didn't mind giving the fans fans what they wanted at the same time.
Do me a favor, please welcome back to the show again, Mr. Action Adventure himself, Bruce Willis. Bruce!
Yeah! Dude, he's so cool! Bang! Oh, shit! Oh, my God! Dude, what the fuck? That's cool as fuck. I've never seen that. Bang! What the fuck?
He continued to immortalize himself with other great characters like Butch Coolidge in Pulp Fiction, Corbin Dallas in The Fifth Element, and Harry Stamper in Armageddon. And all of these films combined made him number 21 on the list of highest grossing leading men at the box office in the 90s, all while remaining incredibly humble the entire time.
The media try to identify me and say, well, he's this kind of actor, or he's a superstar, or whatever label they want to put on me. I'm still learning how to act, and I learned things about acting.
This guy freaking is already on his 4th or 3rd Die Hard, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm still learning
from every film that I do. And it would be very, very easy for me, and also very boring for me to just do action movies all the time.
Fifth Element, yeah, that's a good one too. That's a really good one.
I am tired of it. So I try to find other things to challenge myself with, and I like to do films that I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to succeed in, so there's always that risk of failure.
And even though he was wildly successful, some people wonder why he wasn't bigger, like maybe a top 10 guy like Stallone or a top 5 guy like Tom Cruise. But perhaps Bruce was just a bit too real for Hollywood. He didn't overwork himself and neglect his family just for meaningless trophies presented by people pretending to be your friend. He was just a solid New Jersey guy you'd like to sit and chat with for a while.
I want to know the most frustrating day you had on the set.
Well, let me get right to the point, okay? In London, they have horrible donuts, okay? You can't get a good donut in London. I'm not kidding. They know it over there. I've explained to them a lot of times. Here in America, in Dallas, I'm sure they got great donuts, baked fresh every couple hours.
Oh
with the
my
good
God.
cream fillings in
I
there.
want a donut now.
You should talk to Jared this, because he was in a donut eating contest over there, and we had to take him to the hospital. It was really just a problem. So there was never a good donut day. You know, you come in, you want a donut, you want some coffee in the morning, you get yourself
shit
started.
talking the donuts, bro.
But they have scones, and their scones are
Please,
wonderful.
scones are what
They're
donuts...
not the same thing. Scones are yummy, by the way. For the record, I love scones, but like they're not the same thing. They're completely different things.
Donuts were before they figured out how to make donuts. Right? Scones are like, you get some earth or something, and you put some mud in there, and you get little raisins on it. You know what I mean? Please. A scone is not a donut.
This humbleness is likely what prevented him from being a top 5 superstar, but it also kept him rooted in reality, so he didn't lose himself in Hollywood. Because you can't say Bruce Willis wasn't working hard, because every time his career would seemingly slow down, it would pick up again in an incredibly unique way, like how he played Malcolm Crowe in The Sixth Sense, producing one of the greatest twists in the history of 1990s thrillers. His co-star, Haley Joel Osment, got a rare warm welcome to Hollywood working alongside Bruce for his first major role.
Bruce, thanks for saving the world one moment and sharing a tear with me the next. You were destined to become larger than life because of the size of your heart.
Now, the success didn't mean that Bruce's life was perfect in his prime. In October of 2000, he and Demi Moore announced that they were separating. But even then, Bruce was adamant about keeping the family together in a way many couples refuse to. They now had 3 daughters together, and they were determined to work together for the best interest of the kids.
Everybody knows relationships where people get divorced and they carry resentment and all the anger and all that other horse that goes along with that.
True.
But if you can rise above it and make your children the most important thing, then you have a shot at...
Not a lot of parents, period, do this, and this guy is doing it while being like world famous.
Evolving into something that your kids can look at and go, all right, there is another way other than walking around with anger.
But why get divorced in the first place then?
Well, because that's the nature of relationships.
Bruce and Demi had such an amicable split that he even chose to attend her wedding years later with Ashton Kutcher. And around this time, Bruce Willis entered a noticeably different phase of his career. Not a fall, but a recalibration. He was no longer chasing validation, box office dominance, or the approval of critics who had already made up their minds about him. He got a chance to do a cameo in Ocean's 12, having turned down the opportunity to play the main character, Danny Ocean.
And that's what I mean, like, he's already, what, like, I want to say like 45 or 40 by the time he's like doing Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 12, whatever. He's like, I don't want to be the main character. Like, I don't know, get some young buck to do it.
In the prior movie, Ocean's 11. He also played the iconic John Hartigan in Sin City, voice acted as RJ in the kid-friendly film Over the Hedge, and of course acted in another...
I think Over the Hedge didn't get enough love.
Sequel of his iconic series in Live Free or Die Hard. It was one of those rare additions to an action franchise that was equally loved by both critics and fans. Bruce was now approaching 50 years old, and you could tell this was a guy who had already achieved legendary status and was just having fun, collecting paychecks, and living life on his own terms. More importantly, Bruce's 3 daughters were now approaching their teenage years, and he was focused on being a role model, warning them about the dangers of Hollywood.
I'm really proud of all 3 of my daughters.
Will you encourage them to act if they want to?
I already have. Whatever they want to
do,
I would encourage them. I think that
they will look like Demi.
It's a good gig.
They do. They're very pretty.
Good work if you can get it. And I think they've seen enough of the downside of it to understand what they're in for.
The downside being the press?
Being the culture of fame.
Yeah.
The fanaticism of fans. The illusion of what people think your life is compared to what your life really is. They see that every day.
And they've got a grip on reality.
Dude, humble AF, bro.
Regarding his kids,
so
Bruce said, I would step in front of a car for them. I've peeled every layer off and come to the bright core. It's just a light. It's when you can put someone else's welfare ahead of yours. I can look at how I interact with my kids and say, this is love. I know what it is.
Wow.
I got it. I was right in there, delivering them, pulling the babies out, laughing, crying. 25 people were in the room, sanitary hospital conditions set aside for the fact that we wanted to share this with all our friends. And in 2009, Bruce got married to actress Emma Hemming. Bruce was confident that he could continue to balance his professional and personal life. And since he seemingly had it all, people started questioning when he would retire, only for Willis to explain that he never planned on giving it up.
Because there are a lot more people that do feel that it's unfair to be bumped out of a job, simply because of your age. But
I would say, like, entertainment jobs, like, for example, streaming, I don't think I could fucking stop, like, outright. Maybe I would slow down, but, like, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know, I really like doing it, and it's like, it becomes, like, I don't know, part of your desire to, like, wake up in the morning, as cringe as it sounds.
Lucky, I'm gonna be working until it's just a bag of bones and...
Bag of bones is wild.
I'll talk like this. Rolling. And I'll just do one little thing. And I'll fire one last bullet is what I'll do. And that'll be that'll be the end of it.
However, as Bruce Willis became an official Hollywood veteran, people started to notice that he was taking on much simpler and less impactful roles. His appearances became more brief, his lines were limited, and a large portion of his audience started to turn against him like they were somehow betrayed. All throughout the 2010s, it just got worse, because fans had no idea what Bruce was dealing with behind the scenes. Depending on who you ask, the 2010 film The Expendables was either a blatant cash grab or a nod to action fans around the world. The plot was extremely simple. A CIA operative brings in a team to fight a dictator and a rogue spy. It's centered around Sylvester Stallone, who was surrounded by a legendary cast including Jet Li, Jason Statham, Dolph Lundgren, Eric Roberts, Randy Couture, Terry Crews, and Mickey Rourke. And while the movie wasn't horrible, most people just felt like it could have been better. And when it came to Bruce Willis, he had gone through a similar cycle throughout his entire career. He'd take on a few smaller roles outside of his typical genres, and then then come back to a mainstream audience and proved he was one of those actors who never lost his touch. In 2012, it looked like we were going to witness another transformative period in Willis's career. He was once again taking on some pretty experimental roles, like how he acted as Captain Sharp in Wes Anderson's Moonrise Kingdom, or how he played Joseph Gordon-Levitt's older self in the sci-fi film Looper. Bruce was further establishing himself as a seasoned professional, but still had that charm and silliness from the 90s.
Do stupid stuff all the time.
What do you do?
Spit takes, you know.
He's even more soft-spoken here. It was starting,
takes.
bro.
What's that?
Well, if we had a glass of water, I could show you. Ask me anything.
Okay. Bruce, are you... Oh my God,
This is most people's reaction to his most recent movies. The truth is, people were pretty brutal towards Bruce in the 2010s, and before we knew the reality of what was going on, it's not hard to see why they were upset. You couldn't help but notice that Bruce's performances were considerably low energy. Even for someone who was getting up there in age, he took a backseat in the latest sequel to Die Hard, and some of the magic that made his movie so watchable appeared to be lost. Plus, there was this extremely awkward interview where he totally dismissed the question and gave the interviewer a dose of reality.
What was your favourite place to actually film in? Because you do travel all over the world in this film.
Istanbul.
Did you go to Istanbul?
Oh, not in this film. I thought you just were saying my favorite. In general, I like Istanbul. It's a pretty cool place to go.
That's like a real answer, though.
At least it proves I've seen the film, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Has any actor ever told you this, Jamie? This part is not acting, what we're doing right now. You might be, but we're just selling the film
savage.
Now. Sales. That fun part was...
He's irritated.
I've got to say, watching that interview, it was as if Bruce Willis just did not want to be there.
Instead of the subtle gestures that let us...
Dude, sometimes, like, some of these interviews are so cringe. Yeah.
know what Bruce was thinking, Bruce's face was pretty expressionless. Some couldn't tell if he even wanted to be there or if he was just along for the ride for an easy paycheck. To make matters worse, there were countless movies where Bruce Willis's face would be on the cover, only for his time on screen to be so short that people felt scammed. But this was all by design, as a specific Hollywood producer named Randall Emmett developed an entire niche of low-budget, direct-to-video action films infamously called geezer teasers. These have become associated with aging stars like Robert De Niro, Steven Seagal, and of course Bruce Willis. In a piece written by Vulture, they explain how Emmett built his career by mastering a particular business model, offer vast sums of money to an aging star for a day or two of work, then leverage that actor's name to pre-sell the movie in foreign markets. Emmett's company
God, that's a whole thing?
Has hundreds of producer credits and has grossed over $1 billion on films that critics often dismiss as paint-by-numbers action flicks. For many of these films, Bruce Willis's actual screen time was surprisingly brief. In Hard Kill, he has only 7 minutes of screen time. As one distributor told the writer, the movies will often use Willis at the beginning so audiences think, great, this is a Bruce Willis movie, though he's actually a secondary character who shows up sporadically. By 2020, people stopped being so forgiving towards Bruce, thinking that he tanked his own career. Now he is making movies that clock in at 2.5 on IMDb. Do you realize just how awful your movie has to be to only get 2.5? That is like a really, really bad movie. I guess he stopped caring, but if he doesn't care, why keep making tons of horrible movies? Does he really need the money? He made 8 direct-to-video movies last year. 8. What is the point of that? Bruce Willis was considered—
I would argue if he was already like suffering from dementia at that point, he probably doesn't like have full like, I don't know, like consciousness or like full judgment on what he's doing, his actions.
By many to be an industry hero, so they couldn't accept the idea that he would just take a quick bag. Many theorized, like Red Letter Media, that there was potentially some exploitation going on.
The idea for this was like, we'll make fun of these crappy Bruce Willis movies, because you've heard about like, oh, he uses body doubles, he barely acts.
Keep working, old man.
I'll take you anytime, punk.
And so that was kind of, I was going into it like that, like, oh, this will be fun to make fun of. But most of them are too pathetic to be funny bad. And it led to a much larger discovery of this factory, this exploit.
You know what this reminds me of? What's his name? The guy that made all the comic books? Yeah. It was a body double? Yeah, that's crazy. Like, he wasn't even facing. Yeah, Stan Lee. They used him until he basically died. It was really sad.
Factory.
Yes.
That is going on that is completely under the radar because nobody watches these things.
Red Letter Media pointed out that Bruce was wearing an earpiece to get his lines fed to him while on set, which was confirmed to be true by industry insiders who worked with Bruce. An actor who traveled with Willis would feed the star his lines through an earpiece, known in the industry as an earwig, according to several sources. RLM also noticed that he wasn't really doing much in any of the films. Most of the time he was sitting down, expressionless.
And I scrubbed through them.
Okay.
And I found reoccurring things in a lot of them. But there were multiple movies where he spends a good bulk of them, Cameron Mitchell style, just sitting in a chair. And then going along with that, during action scenes, he frequently gets tied to a chair. Because then you can have an action scene where he doesn't have to do anything and a character just walks up and punches him.
The production was clearly using body doubles for basic action scenes and even suspected that voice actors may have voiced over some of his simple speaking roles.
There's this one scene where Bruce
where he's not looking at him, that felt like someone was
walks
dubbing
in
it over.
And it's like Shannon Doherty and a group of characters. And even though he doesn't do this in the rest of the movie, Bruce Willis just has a gravelly voice all of a sudden. He's like, how can I help you guys?
Frederick Balzari.
Dad.
That's not possible.
It's him.
What does he want?
Me.
Me. Whoa.
At the time,
that does
RLM
not
theorized
sound like
that this
Bruce.
was just lazy filmmaking where the production was taking advantage of Bruce Willis's status for some quick cash. But people who worked on set with Bruce were concerned something much deeper was wrong. So much so that nearly 24 people voiced their concerns. Individuals questioned whether the actor was fully aware of his surroundings on set, where he was often paid $2 million for 2 days of work. While filming Hard Kill, Willis allegedly fired a gun loaded with blanks on the wrong cue. No one was injured, but it reportedly left a couple of people traumatized. Director Mike Burns came out expressing that he wasn't fully aware of Willis's decline until June of 2020. After the first day of working with Bruce, I could see it firsthand, and I realized that there was a bigger issue at stake here and why I had been asked to shorten his lines. According to Burns, Bruce's decline was very noticeable, but it seems that representatives of Willis didn't feel the same way. When the director was asked to film another movie, Wrong Place, he asked Willis's team, how's Bruce? Burns said he was told that Willis was a whole different person, way better than last year. I took him at his word, but when Willis arrived on set, Burns felt like this was all a lie and that Willis was far worse, refusing to work with him until he got better. This brought on conspiracies.
He's not gonna get better, so you're fucked. I mean, honestly, like, yeah, I mean, I guess if it's like an open secret, it's not really the director's fault either. That guy that knew, that guy's fucked up. Like, he clearly used him.
Willis was being exploited by Hollywood during his health decline because Mike Burns wasn't the only director who was genuinely concerned about him. Jesse V. Johnson, who hadn't seen Bruce in decades, was shocked that nobody seemed to notice how bad it really was. It was clear that he was not the Bruce I remembered. They stated that he was happy to be there, but that it would be best if we could finish shooting him by lunch and let him go early. But when Jesse finally got alone time with Bruce on set, he disclosed that Bruce wasn't just fumbling over lines. The man didn't even know where he was. Bruce said, I know why you're here, and I know why you're here, but why am I here? According to the cast and crew, it was less of an annoyance and more like, how do we not make Bruce look bad? Someone would give him a line and he didn't understand what it meant. He was just being puppeted. But
Aww, he's losing it. He doesn't even know what he's doing.
While critics and fans were theorizing how or why Bruce was shrinking away from the public eye, they were about to discover that they all horribly missed the mark, especially because Bruce didn't actually have control over any of these events that made people criticize him. He didn't determine if they used his face on movie promotions, how long his lines would be, or how long he'd be seen in any given
I'd honestly blame the agent a lot for this. Like, a lot of it is the fucking agent's fault.
movie.
And he's trying to
Instead,
make a
he was
buck off
fighting
of
for his
him.
life. People were just too used to the typical Hollywood darkness to see it clearly. On March 30th, 2022, Bruce Willis's wife posted a tragic announcement on Instagram, explaining that the 67-year-old actor was bound for retirement as he recently had been diagnosed with aphasia, which is impacting his cognitive abilities. Aphasia is a communication disorder caused by a stroke, brain injury, or more rarely, a condition called primary progressive aphasia. It affects the person's ability to use language, therefore a person may have challenges talking, understanding others.
Well, he did his own stunts, so that could have been it too. Like, yeah, that's a risk if you're like doing that.
reading, writing, and using numbers.
It could have been anything.
Once this
Could be
became
genetic,
public
too.
knowledge, everything started to make more sense. Bruce wasn't stepping back from serious acting, he was just losing the ability to work on high-stakes projects. Action movies require actors to be at the top of their game, and sadly,
remembering
looking at
lines
this
is not
interview
that
from
easy.
2019, you could see Bruce was already showing signs of slowing down.
I've done a lot of movies with Sam. I always love working with him. I really love how the end of this film came together, and it was really cool, really cool. He has a really great strength. He's wonderful in this film. This is one of Sam's most quiet performances, and he brings a grounded honesty and empathy to this incredibly flawed character.
As if this wasn't tragic enough, less than a year after the Aphasia announcement, Bruce Willis's wife Emma revealed that the actor was also diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia, a condition that can only be described as hell on earth.
Dr. Allison Reese, an internal medicine physician who does research in Alzheimer's disease, says it causes brain cells to die.
In specific areas of the brain that cause very dramatic symptoms. And the areas of the brain where the cells die are the frontal lobes right here behind the forehead and the temporal lobes, which are behind the ears on each side of the head.
It can cause drastic personality changes, create a problem with words, and make it difficult to speak.
When someone is more and more unable to name common things, like if they like I said, a spoon, a fork, you know, something that would be easy. If they can't express their thoughts or they seem to not understand what you're saying to them.
And it has a big impact on a person.
It's like brain fog. I've heard of that too. Like you start to get confused and you don't know what word, like one word sounds like another and it keeps blurting out of your mouth.
Quality of life.
It's like you're kind of like losing control of your brain, like your meat suit, basically. Like you are convinced you're saying fork, but everybody else says, no, you're saying spoon. Because when someone makes a mistake consciously, they might blurt it out and they don't mean to, but they realize it. This person doesn't even realize that it's happening to them, and that's what's fucking sad.
It ends up in the path of losing pretty much your whole self, kind of like with Alzheimer's.
According to Emma, the first signs were in Willis's personality. He felt a little removed, a little cold, not like Bruce, who was very warm and affectionate. To go the complete opposite of that was alarming and scary. I didn't understand what was happening, and I thought just like, how can I remain in a marriage that doesn't feel like what we had? But shortly after, Emma and Bruce went to the doctor to discover what it really was. A critical illness with no hope of a cure. To leave there with nothing, just nothing, with a diagnosis I couldn't pronounce. I didn't understand what it was. I just remember hearing it and just not hearing anything else. It was like I was free falling. Better understanding this strain of dementia, Emma went on to make some pretty hard decisions. She had to limit visitation to Bruce, stop sleepovers for their daughters, and set up an environment where Bruce...
Oh, and it's so damaging to him too, because what happens like when you have like dementia, if they're confused, like say his daughters come over and they don't even he doesn't even recognize them, it fucks them up, but then it also irritates him because it's like, oh, I don't get it, because you just don't understand.
Bruce wouldn't harm himself. In the following years, the only information fans would receive from Bruce Willis came in the form of pictures posted by family and friends. They'd show
I thought that was his daughter. I guess it's his wife.
him connecting with his ex-wife, Demi Moore, heartbreaking photos of him holding his daughter, Rumor Willis, as well as different ways to connect with him. And even through these small glimpses of his life today, you can see that Bruce Willis is no longer the charismatic action star that we all love. The public won't even realize the full meaning of what this diagnosis is. Anyone who hasn't had a loved one with dementia doesn't understand how bad it is. So much worse than forgetfulness. It's forgetting how to sit down, where to go to the bathroom, to go to the bathroom.
You shit yourself. Yeah, that's what happened to my grandpa. He developed dementia, and then my grandma was fucking taking care of him with my dad on my dad's side.
How to put pants or shoes on, hallucinations.
Sad.
And also because many people didn't fully understand the severity of the diagnosis, Bruce's legal team had to come forward and explain that Willis wasn't forced to continue making films and that he was the one who insisted that he continue working until it was no—
That's also valid. Okay. Bruce Willis wasn't forced to keep churning out low-budget films after Aphasia diagnosis. Okay, I guess the agent might have, because there's also like a counter argument to be made. It's like, at what point is it like they're not capable of taking care of themselves anymore. If he can consciously say yes and no, then like, why are we debating the like consent of an adult?
No longer possible. And considering how much we know he cared about his family and admitting that he wanted to act until he was, quote,
like
a
he's
bag of bones,
adult,
it seems like this is
man.
exactly what he would have wanted. Despite that, Bruce's family was also attacked online after his wife revealed their decision to place him in a second home with round-the-clock care.
Bro. You don't realize how hard it is to live. It's hard to live with someone who has fucking dementia. Yeah, all these people that say that shit, that you take care of, like snap your fingers, like, I don't know, like fucking a deity changes your fucking parents and like you have to take care of them for 24 hours. Yeah, see how that makes you feel? Yeah, they need 24/7 care. It's literally like a toddler, essentially. Not to put them down, but like, geez, that's basically what happens to you.
Decision for us, but that was the safest and best decision, not just.
And it's mentally taxing too, because it's like at the end of the day, they were the ones changing your diapers when you were like 3 years old, and now like you're having to do it for them, and they're in a fucking adult, man.
For Bruce, but also for our 2 young girls, and you know,
yeah,
it's really not up for a debate. Now I know that Bruce has the best care 100% of the time. His needs are met 100% of the time, as well as our 2 young daughters. So I'm not going to take a vote on that.
Dementia.
God, it just, I don't know. Man, I shouldn't be tearing up. I don't fucking know Bruce Willis, but like that picture just breaks my heart. Cause my grandpa went through it too. I'm sorry.
Is a ruthless disease that you would not wish on your worst enemy. The behavior of the victims can be extremely dangerous. Violent outbursts, sudden confusion, paranoia, doors left open, stoves left on, and moments.
And even pets can get dementia too. Like they don't have the ability to speak, but you can see it too.
Where the person you love no longer recognizes you or their surroundings. For Bruce's family, placing him in a second home with full-time professional care wasn't abandonment, it was protection. It was necessary.
I wish my parents, and I wish I had that kind of money to just like take care of my grandpa. And at the end of the day, like it was just like really hard on my dad, like, and my grandma. My grandma didn't have dementia. She just passed away afterwards, but like she had to deal with it too. Like I totally respect this woman. She's not doing the Hollywood things like, oh, just shove him in a corner. It's like at the end of the day, you have to also do it. Like, do you think he would have wanted that if he came to her and like said suddenly like, honey, I don't blame you for like giving yourself a little bit of peace. I know you did a really good thing. Like you tried, you know.
What makes the criticism especially cruel is that it ignores the reality of loving someone with a degenerative brain disease. Caregiving at that level isn't just emotionally exhausting, it's medically complex and physically unsafe without trained staff. Emma has used her platform to spread more awareness about it in ways that even I was extremely shocked to learn about.
It was Bruce's neurologist who told me about these statistics of caregivers dying before their loved ones. It's like 30% of caregivers die before their loved ones, and I didn't know that caregiving could be so bad for your health. And that was a big wake-up call for me to learn and to prioritize
the stress
myself, and that knowing that that wasn't selfish, that would be self-preserving to be able to sustain the journey of caregiving, because I want to be able to give the best care that I can for my husband as well as our 2 daughters. And Bruce would want me to do that. You know, he would not
exactly took the words right out of my mouth.
Not want me to neglect my own health.
And since Bruce lives separately from his family, which by the way is just a house within walking distance of,
and she could go visit him. Like they have millions of dollars. That's probably what he would have wanted.
Their home allows the family to have necessary separation, so when they do see him, they show him nothing but overwhelming, unconditional love and affection.
In the last 3 years since the illness descended, we've only seen Bruce Willis in those family postcards. Loving photos and videos online.
Good.
Thank you. Just a few months ago in January, here he is thanking the Los Angeles firefighters.
Aww.
Emma wants everyone to know that Bruce is still walking, physically healthy, and seemingly not aware of his condition.
Bruce is still very mobile. Bruce is in really great health overall.
The silver lining to this is that most people with this disease don't have the finances to actually get the proper care they need and prevent their family from crumbling in financial.
No, my grandpa literally just at one point, I think he just passed away. Like, my grandma couldn't do it anymore. And like, and for God's sake, it's tough. My dad had to deal with it. You think that didn't trickle down to me? Like, my dad's coming home, he's exhausted. Like, jeez, man. Is that ends it? Because if you have to breathe and die in there or sleep? Yeah, essentially. Like, if it gets to that point, yeah, basically.
Financial and emotional ruin, and it seems like they are doing the best they can. Throughout his whole life, even at the height of his fame, Bruce never treated his family like a side quest.
You don't need to be ashamed of tearing up as a little like abuela to dementia. It's a hellish form of grief, so some become prisoner of their own mind, especially when this person to begin with. Members, I understand. I know. I just meant more like I'm not crying, like, or not tearing up a little bit. I didn't cry. Not that much of a baby, but yeah, like it just reminded me of my grandpa. That's all.
Spoke openly about wanting to be present in their lives, about choosing home over Hollywood whenever he could, about measuring success not by box office numbers, but by whether his kids felt loved and supported. Bruce Willis may not be able to fully understand the shape of his life anymore. He may not remember his roles, his accolades, or his film legacy, but what
matters is his family.
Matters most is when he sees his family, he can feel their presence. He can feel their love. Bruce Willis did not lose his story. He completed it.
That's beautiful. That's a good little ending right there. And he's fine. He's okay. He's got the best care in the world. You know, a lot of people fucking could they have less than that. I bet you some of my chatters have to deal with it too. It's very sad. I hope he's doing all right. Let's remember him for his awesome roles. How about that? Instead of being sad, that's probably what he would want.